I came to Israel with very good friends who I was studying with at Columbia University. My specialization was in the study of the Middle East. And my passion was how I could use the expertise I was acquiring to help the state of Israel. So I went into the Israeli army. I served in a unit which doesn't exist any longer, but it combined intelligence and policymaking. When I got out of the army, it was at that time that I met a rising Israeli politician, Benjamin Netanyahu, and he asked me to join him to go to the Madrid Peace Conference. At that time, Deputy Foreign Minister Netanyahu asked me to appear in the hall and explain the policy of the state of Israel to maybe 600 reporters. And I think that's where I got started. There were senior military from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. And I would talk to them about, what do you think about the Oslo agreements? They were not excited. They were very concerned. And so I did something on my own initiative. I prepared a letter from Netanyahu to King Hussein. So after 2 letters, my Jordanian friend says to me over the phone, enough of the letters. We're now going to try something else. It was, to me at the time, the Crown Prince of Jordan, which was very important because it was not long after that dialogue started, Jordan agreed to make peace with Israel. Started working for Benjamin Netanyahu. My initial work was as foreign policy advisor. I began very extensively meeting Middle Eastern leaders and carrying messages of what should be Israel's new policy. So the Prime Minister, I think, thought that it would be helpful if I took up the position as ambassador to the United Nations. I used the opportunity to defend Israel, whether it was CNN or Fox or most of the major networks that were located there. When you're in the UN, the first thing you get confronted with is people trying to tell you that Israel is a colonialist entity that has no rights to the territory on which it sits. And the more you study it, which I did, the more you can counter that with arguments that are strong and influence audiences around the world. That's what I did. Now, another thing when you're at the UN, you can use the UN as a place where you can have quiet, secret meetings. Well, I got a strange card when I was at the UN, and it was a reception to meet Yasser Arafat. As I walked in, the ambassador of Israel, with a kippah on his head, it was as though I'd come for the parting of the Red Sea, because all the Arab delegates moved away as I walked in. If it's in our interest to reach out to leaders from the Arab world, I believe we must pursue that kind of diplomacy, because you might be able to convert that meeting into something which has a value for the state of Israel. And I still, to this day, if I have the opportunity, that's exactly what I do. I will never forget, and I can't tell you what country it was, but I walked into the capital of an Islamic country, and I met with the head of their intelligence services. The gentleman said to me, I've been waiting for this moment my entire life. My God, there's a role for Israel. Even with Islamic countries, they honestly express that they want to create a relationship. If you can be involved in that, that's huge. I believe the state of Israel is the place, if you want to fight for your people, if you want to represent your people, this is the place to do it. When you do that, you have a sense of satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment that you can't have anyplace else. But when I heard that I was receiving the Bonei Award, I thought, if it can have influence on others to join the great adventure, then it's especially rewarding to me.